menggapai mimpi. Hari ini, aku tuntaskan tugasku sebagai mahasiswa dan siap jadi sarjana. Akan kubangun tanah kelahiranku. Terima kasih Untar, terima kasih dosen-dosenku.
Dengan pendidikan tinggi yang berkualitas dan berbudaya, yang dikemas dengan membangun nilai-nilai perjuangan bangsa, seperti yang diteladankan oleh Bung Karno, Untar siap menghasilkan sumber daya manusia yang berkualitas untuk pembangunan di Indonesia.
Cita-cita saya kelak menjadi perawat. Cita-cita saya menjadi dokter. Cita-cita saya ingin menjadi pengusaha. Cita-cita saya menjadi presiden.
Untar telah 60 tahun mewujudkan mimpi-mimpi orang-orang muda di Indonesia yang merupakan juga mimpi-mimpi para pemimpin bangsa yang telah memerdekakan Indonesia. Sukses untuk kita semua meraih mimpi bersama Untar.
Mengantar langkah kecil menuju impian besar yang menjadi kenyataan. Terinspirasi dari kisah kerajaan Tarumanagara yang membuat rakyatnya sejahtera. Universitas Tarumanagara selalu menempa para mahasiswanya. 8 fakultas di Universitas Tarumanagara dengan 29 program studi termasuk jenjang S2 dan S3 siap mendukung spirit memenangkan masa depan yang semakin ketat. We build today to win the future. Kini Untar didukung lebih dari 1.000 dosen berkualitas yang turut membentuk pembangunan karakter positif dan kuat mahasiswa atau Untarian. Mengambil peluang bekerja sama dalam tim, menempuh resiko untuk pencapaian yang akurat, dengan tetap menghargai orang lain, mengasah sisi praktis keilmuan, dengan pengalaman praktek kekinian yang mengena, menempatkan kreativitas sebagai sumbu utama saat mencipta dan berinovasi. Menghasilkan generasi pemimpin yang berintegritas, profesional, dan berjiwa wirausaha adalah komitmen kami. The future is yours to define. Universitas Tarumanagara.
Good morning, everyone. We would like to inform the rules of attending this conference. The committee who attend offline are requested to apply health protocols by using masks correctly, frequently washing hands, or using hand sanitizer, and maintain physical distancing. The rules for participants in the plenary session. Participants must rename their username into the following format: institution_name, example, Untar_Paula. Presenters must rename their username into the following format: room number, paper ID, _name, example, room number 1, _008, Paula. Please fill in the attendance form through the link that we share in the chat room. Questions can be submitted through the link in the chat room. The committee will turn off the microphone while the conference is running. Please turn on your camera for the photo session. Please do not leave the meeting during the break time. Presenters will be assigned into the breakout rooms for the parallel session. Rules for the participants in the parallel session. Presenters must be present on time at the appointed breakout room for the parallel session. Presenters must rename their username into the following format: room number _ paper ID _ name. The presentation must be delivered within 10 minutes for each paper, including Q&A session. Backup presentation video and presentation file in PPT format must be prepared and sent to the registration at engineeringconference.org. Presenters may ask their questions by raise hand and ask verbally or comment through the chat room. Please turn on the camera during the parallel session. All microphones must be muted when other presenters are delivering their presentation. Moderators will share the attendance form during the parallel session. Presenters have to return to the main room after the parallel session for the announcement for the best presenter and closing ceremony. This conference will be broadcasted through our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Untar Jakarta. Thank you. Welcome to the first national and international conference in engineering, September 22, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Greetings from Universitas Tarumanagara, Jakarta, Indonesia. We are very glad to be here as a host, and we hope that we are all in a good health. To the Honorable Professor Dr. Agus Setiobudi, MSc, Head of Higher Education Service Institution, the Third Region, all rectors, Professor Dr. Insinyur Ngadino Surip, MS, from Universitas Mercu Buana, Professor Dr. Insinyur Joseph Stanislaus Harjanto Prabowo, MM, from Universitas Bina Nusantara, Professor Dr. E.S. Margianti, SAMM, from Universitas Gunadarma, Dr. Agustinus Prasetyantoko from Universitas Katolik Indonesia Atmajaya, Dr. Nino Leksono MA from Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, Professor Dr. Editut Hendratno SH, MSc, MSc Art from Universitas Pancasila, Professor Dr. Insinyur Karyasah Suryadi, DEA from Universitas Trisakti, Profesor Insinyur Sofia W. Alisyahbana, MSc PhD IPU from Universitas Bakri. Profesor Dr. Insinyur Iwa Garniwa Mulyana, KMT, from Institut Teknologi PLN. Dr. Honoris Jonathan L. Parapak, MN Science from Universitas Pelita Harapan. And Professor Dr. Insinyur Agustinus Purnairawan, IPU SNN from Universitas Tarumanagara. All speakers, participants, and all presenters. This conference is organized by Universitas Tarumanagara and other members of consortium, Universitas Mercu Buana, Universitas Bina Nusantara, Universitas Gunadarma, Universitas Katolik Indonesia Atmajaya, Jakarta, Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, Universitas Pancasila, Universitas Trisakti, Universitas Bakri, Institute of Technology PLN, Universitas Pelita Harapan. Once again, good morning and welcome to Universitas Tarumanagara. First of all, I would like to invite all of you to sing our national anthem, Indonesia raya. Please let us pray for a moment for the safety of the entire community and the nation, especially during the pandemic period, and for the success for today's event. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to the next agenda. Firstly, I would like to invite Rector of Universitas Mercu Buana, Professor Dr. Insinyur Ngadino Surip MS, as the head of consortium to deliver his report.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me in this opportunity to welcome all of these conference participants by first extending our gratitude and praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for all His blessing and grace that have made us possible to gather here in excellent health and condition. Dear keynote speakers, distinguished guests and participants of this first national and international conference in engineering 2021. It is our hope that this conference will be able to achieve its objective in this providing an effective forum for academicians, researchers, and practitioners to advancing knowledge, research, and technology of engineering. The present reality is confronting many difficulties. We should address the manageability in engineering plan and studies to convey upgrades in effectiveness and asset usefulness. We are academicians together with public and private area, non-legislative, and intergovernmental association, researcher, engineering are capable to support each other to maximize the results we have. By this forum, we hope we can advance and support the publication of scientific research in engineering field nationally as well as internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, conferences such this provide a valuable opportunity for academicians, research scientists, industry specialists, and decision makers to share experiences. We are grateful to many experts who have come to share their knowledge here. We are sure we will have fruitful and rewarding exchange from this conference. We hope for the success of this conference and look forward to learning about outcome. Have a productive and inspiring conference. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you. As a host of this conference, Rector of Universitas Tarumanagara, Professor Dr. Insinyur Agustinus Purna Irawan, IPU SNN, would deliver his welcoming speech.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To the Honorable Prof. Nizam, PhD, IPU, SNN, Dirjen Dikti, Prof. Agus Tiobudi, Head of LLDT Regency, Prof. Dr. Insinyur Ngadina Surip, Rektor of Universitas Mercu Buana, as the Head of Engineering Publication Consortium, LLDT Regency, Rektor of Universitas Bina Nusantara, Universitas Gunadarma, Universitas Katolik Indonesia Atmajaya, Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, Universitas Pancasila, Universitas Trisakti, Universitas Bakri, Institut Teknologi PLN, Universitas Pelita Harapan, as the Engineering Consortium members, keynote speakers, all the presenters and participants. Welcome to Universitas Tarumanagara. It is an honor that we are instructed to become Engineering Publication Consortium member initiated by LLDT Regency and hosting the first national and international conference on engineering 2021 at Universitas Tarumanagara. Considering that we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic, this event is organized in a hybrid format with implementation of COVID-19 health protocol. Nonetheless, I hope that this condition does not make us less excited to carry out this event. Universities have to facilitate students in order to produce scientific publication and at the same time to make it easier for students to access the scientific publication as well. More than 10,000 final years engineering students registered on LLDT Regency database. Around 500 final years engineering students registered in UNTAR. Collaboration in this consortium is a very important aspect to achieve the goals as an adaptation to support human life in the adaptation era. We also hope that this event will be a bridge to future collaboration between universities, industries, research institutions, locally and internationally, especially in the engineering field at UNTAR. I would like to congratulate the organizing committee for all the effort and dedication. Enjoy this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Agustinus. Okay, it's very proud for us that several rectors from the consortium's members would also deliver greetings to all of you. The first time, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Insinyur Ngadina Surip MS from Universitas Mercu Buana. And the second, Professor Dr. Insinyur Joseph Stanislaus Harjanto Prabowo, MM, from Universitas Bina Nusantara.
Mewakili seluruh sivitas akademika BINUS University, saya mengucapkan selamat atas terselenggaranya Engineering Conference 2021. Ini merupakan kerjasama yang sangat luar biasa. 11 perguruan tinggi di wilayah LLDikti wilayah 3. Tentu kita semua berharap inisiatif conference ini menjadi wadah yang baik untuk para peneliti, faculty member, para mahasiswa di dalam mempublikasikan hasil riset pemikirannya, terutama di bidang engineering yang bermanfaat bagi masyarakat. Sekali lagi selamat, semoga semakin sukses. Saya Haryanto Prabowo, Rektor BINUS University. Terima kasih.
For the third, Professor Dr. S. Margianti, SAMM, from Universitas Gunadarma.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Profesor Margianti, Rektor Universitas Gunadarma Jakarta. Atas nama segenap keluarga besar Universitas Gunadarma Jakarta, kami mengucapkan selamat atas terselenggaranya webinar nasional dan internasional dengan topik Engineering and Technology to Support Human Life in the Adaptation Era yang diselenggarakan bersama oleh Konsorsium Bidang Teknik LLDikti wilayah 3 Jakarta. Semoga melalui webinar ini kita dapat saling belajar dan saling mengambil manfaat yang maksimum dari kegiatan ini. Sekali lagi, selamat dan penghargaan setinggi-tingginya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
From Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, Dr. Nino Laksono, MA.
On behalf of UMN, particularly researchers in engineering departments, allow me to extend our warmest welcome and good morning to all participants and the organizing committee of the first National and International Conference on Engineering. I have a strong confidence that engineering is vital, not only for supporting the economic growth, but also to enhancing the civilizations. I hope everyone here will have a very enjoyable conference, and we wish you a productive deliberations. Thank you.
From Universitas Pancasila, Professor Dr. Edi Hendratno, SH, MSc, MSc Art. Please deliver your speech, Professor. Now it's your time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody.
Open the audio, yes. Edi Tut Hendratno. Because of your device, it's not compatible to open the sounds.
Could someone help to unmute Professor Widi?
Okay, once again, try it. Still not working, I think. Is it possible if we are going to the next welcoming speech from other university while you fix your computer or your device? I hope the committee will fix this problem and we can go to
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody in the conference is in versi of the Almighty God. First of all, allow me to welcome all participants to the first national and international conference in engineering NICE 2021. This conference was held by the Engineering Consortium of the Higher Education Service Institute Region 3, which has agreed to carry out scientific publication in the field of engineering. Engineering both national and international publication in order to increase the quantity and quality of publication among final year students. Students who are undergoing final project, as well as the publication of the lecturer in terms of increasing academic functional position. Engineering concerning the implementation of consortium for scientific publication in the field of engineering, and the members is 11 university. Universitas Pancasila plays an active role in organizing the first national and international conference in engineering, NICE 2021. In its line with its 7 centers with Faculty of Engineering Universitas Pancasila, including the Center of Infrastructure and Regional Studies, Center of Artificial Intelligence Studies, and etc. The research roadmap of Faculty of Engineering at University of Pancasila based on 5 chapters of the Sustainability Development Goals SDGs. The collaboration of 11 universities in the line with the declaration of the Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka by the Minister of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology, Nadiem Makarim, with the formation of the Engineering Consortium of Higher Education Service Institute at Region 3, research collaboration between 11 campuses need to be improved by involving lecturer and student across university. And the first conference, we certainly believe that all members of the consortium will do their best in the research network and actively contribute to engineering sciences. Finally, allow me to express my deepest and highest appreciation to all rectors on the university members of the consortium for supporting the conference, organizing committee to their extraordinary hard work, and as well as all the conference participants for their contribution in NICE 2021. Together we can, and together we become stronger. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Editut Hendratno. Okay, now we are going to Professor Dr. Insinyur Karyasa Suhardi, DEA from Universitas Trisakti.
Excellency, Honorable, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, on behalf of Universitas Trisakti, may I extend a very warm welcome to all participants to the first national and International Conference in Engineering 2021. I believe this conference is an excellent platform to share the recent research trend and the most updated technology and experiences among participants. And I'm sure that this conference will benefit to all of us in establishing the academic relation and collaboration, especially the work in progress initiative within the universities in close research project and partnership development. And I hope that this conference can achieve its objectives such as encouraging partnership between academic and industry, and of course, establishing and strengthening collaboration among universities. In this opportunity, I would like to express our appreciation to the head of consortium, the rector of Universitas Mercu Buana, to make this conference happen. And I would like to thank all speakers to share their knowledge and experience in this conference. I'm sure that this forum will be an important opportunity to discuss future collaborations, exchange ideas, and build networks among all participants and universities. Finally, I wish the conference will be successful and productive, and wish participants to have a pleasant and memorable experience. Wish you all the best, and may the outcomes of this conference bring benefits to all of us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. Now is Universitas Bakri, Professor Insinyur Sofia W. Al-Syahbana, MSc, PhD, IPU.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kepada yang terhormat, Kepala LLDP Wilayah 3, Rektor Universitas Mercu Buana, Rektor Universitas Gunadarma, Rektor Universitas Katolik Indonesia Atmajaya, Rektor Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, Rektor Universitas Pancasila, Rektor Universitas Tarumanagara, Rektor Universitas Trisakti, Rektor Institut Teknologi PLN, Rektor Universitas Pelita Harapan, Bapak Asep Hidayat STMT selaku Ketua Panitia, dan para hadirin peserta The First National and International Conference in Engineering 2021. Pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, karena atas karunia-Nya kita masih diberikan kesehatan dan kesempatan untuk menjalankan aktivitas sehari-hari. Besar harapan kita semua, semoga kondisi pandemi terus membaik, sehingga kita dapat menjalankan kegiatan lebih optimum. Sebelumnya, saya sampaikan terima kasih kepada panitia yang telah menyelenggarakan acara The First National and International Conference in Engineering 2021 yang sangat membanggakan ini. Bapak, Ibu, hadirin yang saya hormati, seperti kita ketahui bersama bahwa ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi terus mengalami perkembangan. Menghadapi era Society 5.0 yang menempatkan manusia sebagai komponen utama di dalamnya, di mana terbentuk konektivitas manusia, mesin, dan data yang dikenal dengan istilah Internet of Things atau IoT, menantang kita untuk meningkatkan kemampuan inovasi dan adaptasi. Pembaruan pada era ini dapat menghasilkan nilai baru sehingga hasil dari elaborasi antara sistem, informasi, dan teknologi. Saat ini, tugas insinyur sebagai inovator, sebagai perencana atau pencipta produk, tidak saja mempertimbangkan aspek fisik, namun perlu mempertimbangkan faktor rekayasa yang berkelanjutan, di mana penggunaan sumber daya tidak membahayakan lingkungan atau menghabiskan material untuk generasi yang akan datang. Dengan demikian, bidang teknik harus terus berkembang dengan berbagai inovasi sehingga dapat memenuhi kebutuhan masyarakat. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, kegiatan ini The First National and International Conference in Engineering 2021 sebagai wadah bagi para akademisi dan peneliti dalam bidang teknik untuk melakukan paparan dan publikasi penelitiannya. Kegiatan ini tentu dapat mendorong akademisi dalam menjalankan tridharma perguruan tinggi. Forum ini diharapkan dapat menjadi sarana bertukar pikiran, pengetahuan, maupun pengalaman yang berkaitan dengan persoalan bidang teknik yang semakin dinamis. Sekaligus juga dapat menggali inovasi-inovasi bidang teknik yang tentunya bermanfaat bagi pembangunan bangsa secara berkelanjutan. Semakin banyak penelitian dan publikasi akademik, maka akan semakin banyak pula kontribusi akademisi dan peneliti dalam penyelesaian permasalahan di bidang teknik yang ada di masyarakat. Penelitian yang dipaparkan dalam konferensi ini juga diharapkan dapat dimanfaatkan oleh para pengambil kebijakan sebagai dasar pertimbangan dalam pengambilan kebijakan. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, melalui kegiatan konferensi di bidang teknik ini, saya berharap kita semua dapat memberikan kontribusi pada pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan, terutama di bidang smart power system, smart network, automation and cyber physical systems, green infrastructure, green engineering, petroleum, geology and mining, renewable energy, advanced material, sustainable manufacturing, green manufacturing, computational mechanics, humanism, architecture and planning, dan smart building. Universitas Bakri menaruh perhatian yang sangat serius terhadap bidang teknik. Oleh karena itu, harapannya kerjasama ini tidak berhenti hingga event ini saja, namun dapat terus berlanjut secara berkesinambungan. Saya mengapresiasi berbagai tema yang dipilih oleh panitia dalam penyelenggaraan konferensi bidang teknik kali ini. Tema-tema ini sangat tepat dalam perkembangan industri dan masyarakat saat ini. Melalui kegiatan konferensi ini pula, saya sebagai Rektor Universitas Bakri ingin menyampaikan kepada para pemangku kepentingan bahwa penelitian dan publikasi ilmiah memiliki peran besar dalam berkontribusi bagi para pengambil kebijakan. Tujuannya agar pembangunan berkelanjutan di Indonesia semakin maju dan berkembang. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Sophia. Last but not least, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Insinyur Iwa Garniwa Mulyana KMT from Institut Teknologi PLN.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Iwa Garniwa, Rektor dan segenap sivitas akademika Institut Teknologi PLN, mengucapkan selamat dan sukses atas terselenggaranya kegiatan seminar nasional dan internasional bidang teknik yang pertama dengan tema Engineering and Technology to Support Human Life in the Adaptation Era yang diselenggarakan oleh LLDikti 3 bekerja sama dengan perguruan tinggi yang tergabung dalam konsorsium bidang teknik, di mana Institut Teknologi PLN menjadi salah satu anggota konsorsium. Dalam rangka menghadapi era new normal, di tengah pandemi COVID-19 ini sangat diperlukan penguatan riset dan inovasi. Semoga kegiatan ini dapat menjadi wadah interaksi ilmiah guna meningkatkan kuantitas dan kualitas inovasi dan publikasi di kalangan peneliti, praktisi, dosen, dan mahasiswa. Salam sehat untuk kita semua. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to apologize that Professor Nizam is unable to attend this conference. But now we have Professor Dr. Agus Setiobudi, MSc, as a head of Higher Education Service Institution Third Region to deliver an opening remarks as well as officially open this conference.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sehat, dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Segala puji bagi Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala yang telah memberikan nikmat dan juga kesehatan sehingga kita dapat berkumpul bersama pada kegiatan The First National and International Conference in Engineering 2021 yang mengambil tema Engineering and Technology to Support Human Life in the Adaptation Era. Yang terhormat para speakers, Profesor Insinyur Nizam, MSc, DIC PhD, Direktur Jenderal Pendidikan Tinggi Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset, dan Teknologi Republik Indonesia, Profesor Wong Nyuk Hien dari National University of Singapore, Datuk Profesor TS Dr. Muhammad Idrus Muhammad Masirin, Presiden Kongres Persatuan Akademik, Profesor in Highway and Transportation Engineering, UTHM, Malaysia, Profesor Insinyur Wendy Rahayu, PhD, Dean and Head of School Engineering and Mathematical Science, Lathrop University, para narasumber dan moderator konsorsium publikasi ilmiah bidang ilmu teknik rekayasa tahun 2021. Para hadirin dan peserta seminar yang berbahagia, manusia menggunakan teknologi karena memiliki akal. Dengan akalnya, manusia ingin keluar dari masalah, ingin hidup lebih baik, lebih aman, dan sebagainya. Perkembangan teknologi terjadi karena seseorang menggunakan akalnya untuk menyelesaikan setiap masalah yang dihadapinya. Kemajuan teknologi adalah sesuatu yang tidak bisa dihindari dalam kehidupan ini. Karena kemajuan teknologi akan berjalan sesuai dengan kemajuan ilmu pengetahuan. Setiap inovasi diciptakan untuk memberikan manfaat positif bagi kehidupan manusia. Teknologi juga memberikan banyak kemudahan serta sebagai cara baru dalam melakukan aktivitas manusia. Manusia yang sudah menikmati banyak manfaat yang dibawa oleh inovasi-inovasi teknologi yang telah dihasilkan dalam dekade terakhir ini. Pada era adaptasi baru saat ini, penguasaan teknologi dan rekayasa menjadi salah satu indikator yang sangat penting dalam kemajuan bangsa. Para hadirin peserta seminar yang berbahagia, atas nama Lembaga Layanan Pendidikan Tinggi Wilayah 3, kami mengucapkan selamat dan sukses untuk Universitas Mercu Buana sebagai host atas diselenggarakannya konsorsium publikasi ilmiah bidang ilmu teknik dan rekayasa tahun 2021 ini. Ini merupakan wujud dari sinergi dengan beberapa perguruan tinggi di lingkungan LL Dikti Wilayah 3 sebagai co-host, diantaranya Universitas Bina Nusantara, Universitas Gunadarma, Universitas Katolik Indonesia Atmajaya, Universitas Bakri, Universitas Pelita Harapan, Universitas Pancasila, Universitas Trisakti, Universitas Tarumanegara, Institut Teknologi Perusahaan Listrik Negara, dan Universitas Multimedia Nusantara. Kegiatan luar biasa ini memiliki tujuan untuk meningkatkan mutu publikasi, baik kuantitas maupun kualitas, serta terciptanya budaya menulis karya ilmiah yang pada akhirnya akan bermuara ke penyebaran ilmu pengetahuan yang masif, baik itu melalui seminar maupun jurnal-jurnal yang bermutu. Kami mengucapkan terima kasih untuk Universitas Mercu Buana atas kontribusinya dalam memfasilitasi dosen dan mahasiswa dalam hal publikasi karya ilmiah, meningkatkan sebaran publikasi, meningkatkan kolaborasi, kerjasama, serta transfer knowledge antar perguruan tinggi. Demikianlah sambutan yang dapat saya sampaikan. Selamat mengikuti rangkaian kegiatan dari awal hingga akhir sesi. Semoga bermanfaat. Salam sehat. Kampus Merdeka, Indonesia Jaya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Agus. Okay, now we are going to the photo session. We hope all of you please open your camera, and the committee who attend offline, please come forward to take a photo. The all committee, please come forward. We can take a photo together with participants, presenters, and online. Yeah, it's time for photo session. Mbak Carla, would you join? Mas. Okay, for the committee, thank you very much for your effort. Okay, thank you very much. Big applause for our committee. And the first National and International Conference in Engineering 2021 is officially opened. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next agenda, we have a plenary session with 3 speakers who are really great. While preparing the plenary session, we will bring you to see our campus, Universitas Tarumanagara Campus Tour.
Selamat datang di Universitas Tarumanagara, kampus strategis di Jakarta Barat, terakreditasi A, memiliki 8 fakultas dengan 29 program studi. Inilah pintu masuk kampus 1, Jalan Lejen S. Parman. Disambut ramah petugas dengan menerapkan protokol kesehatan. Kampus yang asri menciptakan suasana nyaman untuk berinteraksi sosial. Gedung utama. Rektorat berada di lantai 5. Perpustakaan terakreditasi A memiliki fasilitas buku dan jurnal yang lengkap serta kemudahan mengakses internet. Berada di lantai 6 hingga 9. Sinemarum merupakan fasilitas hiburan. Lembaga Sistem Informasi dan Database berada di lantai 10. Gedung dengan 21 lantai memiliki auditorium tipe teater di lantai 3 dan grand ballroom di lantai 21. Fakultas Ilmu Komunikasi terletak di lantai 11 dan 12, dilengkapi dengan ruang kelas, ruang dosen, dan laboratorium yang sangat memadai. Gedung M. Berjalan menuju lantai dasar terdapat pusat layanan terpadu, menangani bidang akademik, keuangan, pendaftaran mahasiswa baru, dan poliklinik. Lantai 2 merupakan ruang kegiatan organisasi kemahasiswaan. Mahasiswa berkumpul dan berdiskusi menjalin kerjasama untuk mempersembahkan prestasi. Fakultas Hukum berada di lantai 3 Gedung M, memiliki fasilitas ruang kuliah, ruang dosen, dan laboratorium yang sangat memadai. Auditorium dan geraha suara berada di lantai 8 puncak Gedung M, berkapasitas 500 kursi, digunakan untuk seminar, konferensi, perayaan keagamaan, dan pertemuan lain. Geraha suara berkapasitas 300 kursi, digunakan untuk pagelaran musik, paduan suara, dan teater. Gedung P, food court berada di lantai dasar, akrab disebut kantina, meraih penghargaan kantin sehat tingkat nasional Kementerian Kesehatan 2018. Fasilitas bisnis, minimarket, kafe, restoran, bank, dan ATM center melengkapi suasana kampus yang dinamis. Lahan parkir yang luas untuk kendaraan roda 2 dan roda 4 tersedia dari lantai basement hingga 8. Sport hall serta fitness center berada di lantai 8, diperuntukkan bagi sivitas akademika penggemar olahraga. Gedung L dan Gedung J merupakan lokasi fakultas teknik berdampingan dengan fakultas kedokteran. Laboratorium berstandar internasional, serta fasilitas lain sangat memadai untuk kegiatan pembelajaran. Gedung K merupakan lokasi Fakultas Psikologi, Fakultas Seni Rupa dan Desain, memiliki ruang galeri atau pameran karya, serta fasilitas lain sangat menunjang. Gedung R. Gedung R adalah lokasi laboratorium Fakultas Psikologi dan Fakultas Teknologi Informasi, dilengkapi dengan ruang kuliah, ruang konsultasi, laboratorium beserta perangkatnya, sangat menunjang proses pembelajaran. Kampus 2 terletak di seberang Kampus 1, Jalan Tanjung Duren Utara. Gedung megah yang terdiri atas gedung A, B, dan C merupakan lokasi Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. Memiliki fasilitas sarana prasarana yang sangat lengkap. Universitas Tarumanagara mengedepankan nilai integritas, profesionalisme, dan entrepreneurship. Untar untuk Indonesia.
Untar selalu di hati. Untar selalu di hati.
Thank you for watching our video profile. Okay, now we are going to the plenary session. We have 3 speakers. The first speaker, Professor Wong Nyuk Hein from National University of Singapore. The second speaker, Professor Muhammad Idrus from UTHM, Malaysia. The third speaker, Professor Wendy Rahayu, Dean and Head of School Engineering and Mathematical Sciences, Lathrop University, Melbourne. As a moderator, we have Mrs. Prayang Sani Yulia STMT from Universitas Trisakti. She is now a lecturer of Petroleum Engineering Department who will lead this session. Please, Mrs. Prayang, to lead this session until 30, including Q&A.
All right, so thank you so much for Mrs. Paula as the MC. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. To the Honorable Professor Insinyur Nizam MSc, DIC PhD, IPU, ASEAN Engineering. To the Honorable Professor Dr. Agus Setiobudi MSc. To the Honorable all Rectors, to the Honorable Keynote Speakers and all participants. My name is Prayangsan Yulia. I'm the lecturer of Petroleum Engineering Department, Universitas Trisakti, Jakarta, Indonesia. And this is such an honor for me to participate in the first National and International Conference in Engineering 2021, or NICE 2021. First and foremost, thank you so much for the Honorable NICE 2021 Committee for giving me the opportunity as the moderator for this keynote speech session. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this session, we will get insight and knowledge and also discussion as well that will be delivered by our respectful three keynote speakers. There are Professor Wong Nyuk Hien, PhD from National University of Singapore. And then we have Professor Insinyur Wendy Rahayu, Master of Applied Science in IT, PhD, as the Dean and Head of School Engineering and Mathematical Science, La Trobe University, Australia. And last but not least, we have Dato Professor Dr. Tan Sri Muhammad Idrus Haji Muhammad Masarin, MIET, MREAM, MMBOT, GMIEM as the President of MAAC, and also Professor in Highway and Transportation Engineering, UTHM, Malaysia. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, we would like to read the brief CV of our respectful keynote speakers. First one, we begin with Professor Wong Nyuk Hien, PhD. Professor Wong's academic qualification graduated on Bachelor of Science in Building with honors, second upper from National University of Singapore, graduated on Master of Science in Building Science from National University of Singapore, and graduated on PhD in Building Performance and Diagnostic from Carnegie Mellon University, USA. Recently, Professor Wong is the Vice Dean on Research, School of Design and Environment, National University of Singapore. Professor Wong's research interests are urban heat island and the mitigation measures, outdoor thermal comfort and indoor thermal comfort for naturally ventilated spaces, thermal performance on facade for non-air conditioned buildings, thermal performance of urban greenery, including green roofs and vertical green walls, climate change and the impact on built environment. And also these are his notable achievements in academic and his awards as well. In Local Merit Scholarship, Public Service Commission Singapore, Building Science Gold Medal, National University of Singapore, Overseas Graduate Scholarship, National University of Singapore, MUS Excellent Teachers Award, MUS Teaching on Roll, Hong Kong Institute of Architects Special Architectural Research Award, Grant Award from Professional Green Building Council, Best Paper Award in the National Network for Tropical Architecture, Building Innovation, Technology and Tradition, Kasatrat University, Bangkok, Thailand, Zero Energy Building, Minister for National Development's R&D Award, and also many more with reputable national and international publication as well. All right, that's the brief CV of Professor Wong. Then for the following honorable keynote speaker, we have Professor Insinyur Wendy Rahayu, Master of Applied Science in IT, PhD. And please allow us to read her brief CV. Professor Rahayu is currently the Dean and Head of School of Engineering and Mathematical Science at La Trobe University, Australia. Professor Rahayu's main research expertise is in the area of integration of heterogeneous data and systems to support automation and decision-making within a collaborative and highly data-rich environment. She has led numerous industry-funded projects in these areas. In the last 10 years, she has done substantial work in the area of data integration and optimization, knowledge discovery, and big data management. She has published together with her research team of PhD students and postdocs in numerous Q1 journals in the area. Professor Rahayu is currently working on a number of collaborative research projects, including the development of data-driven smart maintenance in a manufacturing company in Australia and an ARC linkage project on conjoint data mining for heterogeneous data. She has been involved in numerous industry or external project consulting and partnerships, including project funded through the Victorian Government Technology Innovation Program. She has published more than 300 papers with around 6,000 total citations. To date, she has successfully supervised to completion 17 PhD students, all of whom currently hold positions in companies R&D or in academia in different parts of the world, including Australia, Belgium, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And that's a brief CV of Professor Rahayu. Then last but not least, our honorable keynote speaker, we have Dato Professor Tan Sri Muhammad Idrus Haji Muhammad Masarin, MIET, MREAM, MMBOT, GMIEM. And please allow us to read his brief CV. Dato Professor Dr. Muhammad Idrus started his career as a technical assistant in Public Works Department Hulu Langat in 1981 after receiving his diploma in civil engineering from University Teknologi Malaysia. Then he joined Polytechnic Ungku Omar in the same year due to his interest to train his fellow Malaysians in technical and engineering education. Then he was transferred to head the engineering survey unit as SMT Johor Bahru in 1985. His career blossomed when he was given the opportunity by Public Service Department to further his bachelor degree studies in civil engineering in Seoul, Korea. He specializes in underground structures construction with involvement in the construction of the 4th underground train construction for the Seoul City transportation system. As an academician, he has written more than 100 papers in proceedings and journals published at national and international levels with wide research and consultancy experiences. He also presented his ideas on internationalization in many papers locally and internationally. He's also a visiting professor to Universitas Narotama in Surabaya, Indonesia, and Saga University, Japan. He has presented keynotes in more than 10 platforms in Malaysia and abroad. He is currently the president of Malaysian Academic Association Congress, or MAAC. At present, he has won more than 10 gold awards in various local and international invention and innovation competition and exhibition from Malaysia, Germany, London, Bangkok, and Korea. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's the introduction of our honorable keynote speakers. And right away, we will let you know about the technical things. Each speakers will deliver their presentation approximately in 20 minutes. And after the presentation, there will be Q&A sessions. So to all participants, don't hesitate to ask questions. And our committee will give the Google form link so you can put your question through the Google Form link. And all the question will be read, it's only from the Google Form, not on the chat box. Don't forget to write on your name, your institution, and then mention keynote speakers, all right? And so probably you also can scan the barcode of the Google Form link. All right, so without any further ado, to begin this session, we would like to invite Professor Wong Nyuk Hien. So firstly, good morning, Professor Wong. How are you, Professor?
Good morning, good morning. I'm fine. Thank you for the invitation.
All right, thank you so much. And we really appreciate for your time to attend this webinar. All right, so with fullest honor, Professor Wong, please welcome. You may begin and time is yours.
Okay, let me share the PowerPoint. Can you all see the PowerPoint?
Yes, already.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much again for the invitation. I really be very honored to be invited for this very prestigious conference. I used to travel to Indonesia in many cities for meetings, for conferences, for student recruitment. Because of COVID-19, I'm unable to do so. But regardless, I'm so happy to be able to meet all of you in this virtual platform. I would like to share with you this topic called the use of digital twin for modeling and simulation of the urban microclimate. That will be the content. I know I have only 20 minutes, so I will have to really go through quite quickly. In Singapore, we have developed a very huge program called Virtual Singapore Program. Basically, is to create digital twin for the entire Singapore. So I'll share a bit of that, and then I will focus on using NUS campus as a test bed for this, and how we can develop an integrated platform to connect all the different simulation model at different scales, and then use this digital twin of NUS campus as a test bed. So we use it to do CFD modeling and simulation. We also use big data analytics to develop some prediction model. We also develop sensing for the entire NUS campus, basically for ground truth and for validation of the model. And very quickly, I share a bit about how we use it for applications in terms of the real development of the NUS campus. Yep, this is a picture or a photo or image of the Virtual Singapore digital twin. As you can see, it literally covers all the entire city and every building in this Virtual Singapore platform. And we also plan to have BIM, building information modeling, embedded in every building so that it can be put to good use. Likewise, we do the same thing for the NUS campus. As you can see, this is the NUS digital twin that covers every individual building in NUS campus, including the landscape, including the terrain, and so on. Few years ago, our NUS president initiated a very interesting program called S3 Campus that represents smart, safe, and sustainable campus. As you can see, these three initiatives or these three areas: smart, looking at spatial intelligence; safe, of course, in the pandemic era, how do we make the campus safe? And then making it sustainable, especially in response to the climate change action. So my talk will focus very much on the third part, looking at the sustainable campus and also the climate change action. One very key aspect of it is we hope that by 2030, NUS can be zero waste, and at the same time to reduce the NUS campus by 4 degrees Celsius. As I mentioned here, for this CoolNUS, these are the different things we are going to do using digital twins to develop the NUS campus to make it environmental sustainable, reduce the heat load, reduce energy consumption. For example, we are moving towards the use of district cooling system, and then also make use of different technology like cool building envelope, cool coating for roads, for pavement to reduce the temperature. The other very interesting program is on tree planting and greening. Starting from last year, our NUS president has pledged to plant 10,000 trees every year for 10 years. So I can imagine the amount of greenery that we are going to do. We are going to focus on a lot of biophilic design, greening of buildings, and so on. The other one, of course, is more on transportation, I'll try to implement green transportation, car light campus, and so on, which you can see some of the initiative here. So we hope that through this series of programs or work that can make the NUS very cool. So let me now share with you, as an academic, as a researcher, what we are doing to support this cooling NUS program. Currently, we are developing integrated, we call it integrated multi-scale and multi-physics urban microclimate model. Basically, is to link simulation model at different scales so that they can communicate with one another, and hopefully it becomes really an integrated one. So at the big scale, we make use of WAP model. I guess some of you may be familiar. It's a climate model that we can actually simulate the climatic condition at a global level, at the regional level. And with this WAP model, we can then provide very meaningful boundary conditions at the city level, in this case, pretty much on using CFD model, and then link it down to estate level. Estate level here means cluster of buildings that we make use of land thermal canopy model, and even down to individual building that we make use of energy plus model. So that is really the intention we have. So let me quickly look at WAP model. This is what we have been doing. So we make use of this WAP model first to model it at a bigger scale, covering basically the entire Singapore, part of Malaysia and Indonesia, so that we get the very meaningful boundary conditions, climatic conditions, and so on. And then we downscale it until it can reach the level of Singapore, and even down to the scale of the NUS campus. For example, at the NUS campus, we are making use of about 80-meter resolution. So that's what we are doing. And then at the Singapore level, we have been using something called LCZ, that stands for Local Climate Zone. This is an international recognized way of categorizing the land characteristics. So we make use of it, and then we use it to model the entire Singapore, and it can then put to good use for modeling the climatic condition over the entire Singapore. And we also hope that by doing that, this could be used to understand the impact of climate change on the Singapore climatic condition. So as you can see from the images here, this is a simulation over the entire Singapore. With that, we are able to study the climatic condition, be it wind, temperature, humidity, rainfall, and so on. One very important aspect that we are very interested to make use of the WAP model to understand is the land breeze and the sea breeze effect. We tend to overlook this because it's very often when we do the wind simulation, we just look at the prevailing wind. But for Singapore being an island, we believe that the land breeze and the sea breeze effect, especially the sea breeze effect, is playing a very, very important function. So that's why we need to understand the impact of land breeze and sea breeze. For example, this is a study, image showing the land breeze effect. This is at 5 o'clock in the morning, where the wind is actually moving from land to sea. But when it comes to the afternoon, it is the other way around now. The wind starts to move in from the sea towards the land. Okay, and we need to also understand the relationship between this and also the prevailing wind condition. Okay, so just a very brief introduction about the WAF model. Next, let's look at the CFD modeling. And in this case, the focus is using NUS campus. So using the digital twin of the entire NUS campus, we model as detailed as possible every faculties, every hall and residence hall in the NUS campus, including the surrounding building. Because when we look at the wind condition and so on, we need to consider the surrounding as well. And we need to make simplification to the buildings so that it can support the CFD modeling. The more challenging one is how do we model greenery as well? Every individual tree, how do we model that? The other one is really the terrain. NUS terrain is fairly complex because it is at the ridge, so therefore it is undulating. So we have to resort to using, for example, satellite image in order to get a very accurate terrain. This is an example showing the entire NUS campus, including the surrounding, and how we map out the wind in this case. All right, so you can see these are the details. We try to capture as detailed as possible the building, but at the same time, make sure we can support the simulation and the modeling in terms of wind, in terms of temperature, and so on. Okay, this is a zoom in to look at every individual building that we model. We do not model the building just as a solid block. Right? If the building have columns, if the building have voids especially, we need to capture that accurately so that we can really model the wind condition within the NUS campus very well. Yeah, this is the wind simulation that we have done, the wind profile flowing across the entire campus, another wind contour and so on. Yeah, the most important thing is you can see from this diagram, as I mentioned, the terrain is very complex. So therefore, we need to build a very accurate terrain as much as we can. And we have to make use of satellite image with very, very high resolution of 1 meter in order to build a very accurate terrain. Okay, so these are just some images I show very quickly. Yeah, as I mentioned, for building that is with large void that allow the wind to get through, we should model that as accurately as we can. This is an example, which is a central library of NUS, and it has a very large void below, and students love to hang around there to do their studies or to even have some social activities and things like that. So therefore, we need to model that correctly, and we can then understand how the wind flow across the void and so on. Okay. Yeah, so that is on the wind aspect. But when we want to look at the impact of the solar radiation, and therefore how it impacts the heat built up, how it impacts the temperature, that becomes very challenging. Because we really need to know the material properties for different building surfaces, whether it is glass, it is concrete, brick, metal, and things like that. So we need to do a very, very thorough survey of the entire campus. And not only that, we need to do measurement on the surface characteristics. So we have to get a lot of researchers to go around, measure the reflectivity of the surface, measure the emissivity of the surface and so on, and put into the model so that the model can simulate the impact of solar radiation. This is indeed very challenging, even though NUS campus is not like really that huge, but the amount of work that is required is still tremendous. Yep, so you can see all this measurement work that is in progress. And the simulation is also very challenging because we have to do it in a transient simulation. And we have to do the time step like every half an hour and so on, how to couple the solar radiation with the wind and how it impacts the temperature. So we started by looking at very simple model like this, looking at the impact of blocks, looking at the impact of greenery, and then looking at how it impacts the solar radiation because of shading and things like that, right? And computationally, it is very challenging and very time consuming. All right, so this part of the work is still in progress. This is just some example of the temperature profile. It's really just a very simple simulation to look at whether the temperature profile is reasonable or not. We are still in the process of doing more simulation on that. So that is on the CFD modeling. Now I have to say that currently using CFD modeling to do NUS entire campus, especially on understanding the heat, the hotspots, the temperature distribution is very challenging. So work is still in progress. And while we are looking at the CFD modeling, we are trying to look at, is there a simple way to predict the temperature? So because of the advancement in artificial intelligence, like the use of machine learning and so on. And we have collected a lot of data over the years in terms of temperature, in fact, for the entire Singapore. So we start to develop an AI-based data-driven temperature prediction model. Okay, so we have successfully doing it. So with, let's say, for example, a specific part of Singapore, we are able to extract the level of details. It can be LOD2, 1.1, 1.2, and so on. And then with that, we can straight away understand the temperature distribution over the entire estate, including taking into account the impact of greenery and things like that. All right. Now, in order to enhance the usage of it by architects, by urban planners, we have also built a plugin in SketchUp. So if you know how to use SketchUp, you can then use the plugin and then do your modeling, and then it can help you to predict the temperature. We have done that for the NUS campus. So you can see this is an example looking at the entire NUS campus. What is the maximum temperature which occur during the daytime, and where are the hotspots? Likewise, not only it look at the maximum temperature, it also look at the minimum air temperature, which usually occur at night. So with that, we are able to understand, where are the areas whereby during daytime, during the nighttime, it could be very hot, and what can we do about that, right? So with this, we can then identify, well, these are the areas which can be very hot, both during the, this is during the daytime, and these are the hot spots during the nighttime. And of course, we pay attention in those areas where it is both very hot during daytime and also at the same time during the nighttime. And what can we do to mitigate such hotspots? We do a lot of validation in order to understand whether the model is correct, is reasonable, and so on. Okay. We also do a lot of sensitivity analysis. Like, for example, if we vary the height to the width of the building, the width means the width between the two buildings, what is the impact on the temperature, and also what is the impact of greenery, which is represented by, we call it green plot ratio. The higher the green plot ratio means the higher is the coverage by greenery. Okay, besides doing all this modeling, all this simulation, we also do a lot of sensing. And now IoT is becoming so popular, so we do a lot of field measurement. So across the entire NUS campus, we deploy 20 over weather stations, and the weather station can measure all these parameters, as you can see here, and it's powered by solar panel, so we don't have to worry about power supply. And also all the data is transferred by wireless manner. In this, currently it's by 3G, but very soon we're going to move it to 5G, because NUS campus is going to be 5G enabled very soon. So with all this data, we can then collect it in the server, and you can even visualize it. Yeah, these are just the photos showing all the installation of the weather station, some at ground level, some at roof level, and so on. So you can go to this portal, and then this web portal will allow you to look at every weather station, the profile. It can be on a minute, it can be on per day, it can be per week, per month, and so on. So you can get the live data for the entire campus at any weather station you want. And we also develop a visualization platform. So at any point in time, you can extract the data and then do a profile or do an image looking at the temperature distribution for any month that you are interested, the maximum wind speed for that particular month. And we also look at the thermal comfort. A PhD student has developed an outdoor thermal comfort that we combine all these parameters like wind, temperature, solar radiation, and then understand the outdoor thermal comfort for the entire campus. Okay, last one, I just quickly look at it. It's mainly looking at the estate level and the building level. This is the work of a PhD student. Basically, the understanding or the objective of doing this is, we all know the immediate surrounding can impact the comfort, can impact the cooling energy of a building. So we want to develop a model that we can see the interaction between outdoor and indoor, and this is the motivation in doing it. All right, so in this case, let's say there is a building in the center here. We are very interested to look at how the surrounding building impact the cooling energy consumption of this building. So we can use this, we call it Amber model, to do the modeling. For example, this is a situation whereby we want to look at the impact of traffic. As we know, traffic generates heat. So whether the traffic at this area can impact the cooling energy consumption of the building. So we can do a simulation like this. Likewise, for every individual building, it can impact the immediate temperature or immediate microclimate, such as, for example, if you introduce greenery to the roof or to the facade of the building, will it lower the temperature in the immediate surrounding? So the model allows you to look at that as well. Okay, again, in order to do validation, we also do a lot of sensing. We fix up a flux tower with all the different sensing data sensor installed to collect the data so that we can then validate the model. Okay, this is, as I mentioned, our president is planting 10,000 trees every year for the next 10 years. So now we are also trying to understand whether such greenery or such tree planting in the campus is very useful in terms of cooling down the environment. So we start to do the modeling of the greenery over the entire NUS campus. All right, this is quite a huge amount of work. We have to do both ground measurement as well as using satellite image to map all the greenery over the entire campus, and there's only the existing. And then we need to put in the characteristics of the tree. What is the species of the tree? What is the attributes of the greenery, and so on. In fact, we have a project now to develop BIM model for greenery. We call it GIM, Greenery Information Modeling, which is in progress. All right, so this is the vegetation over the entire NUS campus. And with that, we can use the simulation model to understand the impact on temperature, the impact on wind, and so on. All right. We need to do more study to understand the shading effect or the cooling effect of trees. So we set up experiment like this to measure the cooling effect of tree. I think I won't go into detail because I know time is running short. So we do the measurement, and then we find out the reduction of a tree, the reduction of temperature by a tree can be by about 2 degrees, but actually out of this 2 degrees, the reduction is primarily due to shading, and then only a very small portion is due to evapotranspiration, means the losing of the moisture from greenery. This is another very interesting program. As you know, renewable energy is something that we are trying to promote, and solar energy is a very important one. So Singapore is going a big way to do installation of solar panel. But what concerns us is that, when you have many solar panel, will it heat up the city? Why? Because only about 20% or slightly more than 20% is used for electricity generation. The rest can be in the form of heat. Whether that heat can cause the temperature to go up, worsening the we call urban heat island effect. So this is also a project that's ongoing. We also use this NUS campus to look at or to assist in terms of campus development. For example, recently, or not recently, maybe about 2 years ago, our NUS trying to build a new student hostel in a certain area. But next to it, there are three labs. And they are very concerned that whether the pollutants from the lab can impact the health of the student and so on. So we can use this model to do all the modeling simulation to look at the dispersal of the pollutants and see whether it could indeed result in very high pollutant level at the student hostel, the new student hostel, right? So these are the work that we are doing. And of course, these are the thing that is ongoing, looking at cool materials, looking at large deployment of solar panel, district cooling system. And the important thing is how climate change can impact thermal comfort and what are the possible adaptation solutions. All right, with that, I conclude my presentation. I know time is very short, so I go through quite quickly. I hope you can follow my presentation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Wong, for sharing the knowledge. That's very insightful. Okay, so probably before we're going to the following keynote speakers, let me sum up. And this is the sums up the role of NUS as smart, safe, and sustainable campus, and as the innovation on sustainability and the artificial intelligence. And due to the challenging temperature issues and climate change, the development of high-resolution WRF model to modeling the temperature, winds, and humidity as the concern due to the climate change issues, and CFD modeling process to modeling the surrounding building, greenery, etc., and also modeling potential for greenery in the entire NUS campus, and modeling the impact of solar panel deployment on microclimate, and then studying of the cooling effects of trees as the reduction of temperature. All right, once again, thank you so much, Professor Wong, and then we will continue probably in the Q&A session. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for the following one, we would like to invite Professor Wendy Rahayu. So now, Professor Rahayu, good morning and probably good afternoon in Australia. How are you, Professor Rahayu?
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Rahayu, and we really appreciate for your time to share the knowledge right now in this national and international conference. All right, and with fullest honor, please welcome and please begin the presentation, and time is yours, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Sorry. Is it clear? Can you all see it?
Yes, already clear, Professor.
Okay. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me for this presentation and sharing the work that we've done here as part of a project that we've done at La Trobe. I did not discuss this with Professor Wong, but it turns out that our project are probably almost in a similar concept. It's just that the work that we've done is digital twin, but in the context of smart manufacturing. So we know that in big data sort of context, the three things that makes data really big. One is the volume, that's the size. and then the different variety of data set that we collect. And the one that really creates, big data, the speed or the velocity. These days, we are not talking about data that comes from user entry, so people are not entering their information into the computer. We are talking about data that comes from sensors, and we are talking low chip sensor distributed in the environment or in the manufacturing environment that collect data every second or every millisecond. So this is now, the era of IoT, the era of data streams. So what are the complexity? And my team are focusing a lot on big data management, how to actually manage this large information before we can actually focus on the analytics and the predictive maintenance or the predictive analysis of this big data. It's very important to focus on how do we actually deal and manage this large base of information. So we're looking at first how to actually filter this information, because there are potentially a lot of noise and a lot of missing data, how to pre-process them properly, and how to store them efficiently. And we're talking about low cost sensors, as I mentioned, and we're talking about sensors that can broadcast, and sensors is one way. So they just broadcast information as they go. And this can be temperature, humidity, acceleration, speed, and any kind of possible sensors that can, sort of broadcast information, and then that data can be analyzed. So it's static because it's not going to be updated. It's basically just, continuous streaming. So in the context of digital twin, I thought it's interesting to think a little bit. Maybe we heard a lot about digital twin already. And in fact, it's not a new concept. It has been introduced for probably 20 years, the concept of a digital twin. And if we're talking about manufacturing, the concept of manufacturing, we're talking about SCADA, for example. Many of us probably are familiar with this. I did my bachelor degree in Trisakti University, my electronic engineering degree, and I still remember we talk a lot about embedded system. So when we're looking at this type of monitoring, manufacturing monitoring, we're talking about embedded system, a system that are built for the purpose of the manufacturing, but they're not easily scalable. If you want to expand with more machines and more manufacturing plants, it will be very costly and very complicated. With the era of Internet of Things now, with the low chip sensor, we are talking about attaching sensor in every spare parts of the device, so that not only remotely, and the project that we are talking about here has a headquarters in Melbourne, and the manufacturing plants are located across Australia, and particularly in the center of Australia, where it's very difficult to have people living there. Remotely, not only we can see through visual that we can see the picture of the machine, but we also be able to see a dashboard that associated with each individual component of that machine, and letting us know the situation. So not only now we see a machine, we know exactly which part is getting hotter and hotter, which particular part is stopped working. For example, here a certain part is stuck, somehow is not working. We can see it in real time from remote area, which part is not performing well, or it is smoke coming out of it, or it is slowing down the acceleration. So we now see the context of digital twin, and this has been used a lot in NASA, for example, to monitor spacecraft. What Professor Wong mentioned before, monitoring smart city in Singapore. We know that we've done it as well in Australia, in New South Wales. We have a very similar concept of smart city for New South Wales, so where sensors are scattered in the environment, and we can monitor it in real time. So this is the notion of the digital twin. So when we approach by this, sort of big company of multiple manufacturing plant, we are a team here from La Trobe with a few PhD students. We're talking about predictive maintenance. So we're talking about big plants that are not placed in an area where people can live and stay there to monitor. And as we know, it's very expensive if those equipment are broken before an engineer actually come and fix it. So we want to predict 1 day, 1 week, 2 weeks, if possible, before an equipment is broken, that we actually send the engineer to do whatever is necessary. So we're talking about a site. Every plantation has about 10,000 sensors, and every machine may have about 100 to 1,000 sometimes sensors, depending on the size of the machine. So we're talking about explosive growth of data. We're talking about how to ingest that big data. We're talking about how do we store them? Where do we store this big data that is ever growing? We never really delete or sort of remove them. And particularly how to look at dealing with dirty or noise, data noise when it comes from sensors. So this is a big issue when we deal with data that comes from equipment. So by the way, in every slide, I show the source because all this work have been published. And I just want to acknowledge that this the work that have been done with the team of the supervisors, PhD students, as well as our industry partners. So we're looking at an example here, just one turbine compressor. We have up to 100 sensors attached to every spare parts, every component, and every one of these actually streaming data, and the main headquarter can actually interpret and analyze that data. So what do we do with this information? So I just want to give a little bit, this is probably a little bit more insight into the project itself. And some of you probably who are interested in looking at this, hopefully there are some useful learning here that can be used. So we're using what we call is OPC, Open Platform Communication Server. The purpose is to transfer data that comes from hardware, and in this case from the sensor, to text. So we need to be able to accept the data from the sensor, convert them into text. Now we need to line them up. So we have 100 sensors, cannot all go together to the cloud. So we need to have a mechanism to put them in a queue. And this is where we actually use this OPC. At the same time, we have a database, a tech metadata that will match every set of data with what is that data about. So the first data comes is temperature. The second data that comes is humidity, where it comes from, and so forth. That comes from the metadata server. So what we're doing next is to store this information on the cloud. So we built an infrastructure in the cloud. We're using AWS, Amazon Web Services, to store this data. And it is the new era of data lake now. We don't call it database. It's not data warehouse. It's actually data lake. And this is basically the storage infrastructure that we have on the cloud. Just very quick overview, a data lake is a repository of data for this type of application, because it doesn't require any standard structure and it doesn't require any way to convert or to develop a schema. So I'm not going to go into detail because I know we don't have much time, but it is the type of repository that we use to store this type of application. So there's all the pre-processing and the predictive analytics after we pre-process the data to predict, so this is the purpose of this project, is to make sure that we can maintain the machine in a timely way. Normally machines are maintained on a regular basis, but we know that that's not always efficient. The moment maintenance happens, maybe that's too soon or maybe that's too slow. So we need to know timely maintenance, but at the same time, every machine can be different. And we want to be able to predict, so that before it happens, we already come and fix it. So the four things actually that we cover in this project. First, and I think is probably, I must say, is the hardest part, is actually the pre-processing of this data. And I'm going to go a little bit more detail about that. And then how to actually store them. And then we do the predictive analysis. And then we do the dashboard, similar to the digital twin image that I've shown before. So why preprocessing is important? We often think that when we have an application like this, and we are so familiar with this era of machine learning and artificial intelligence and predictive analytics and predictive maintenance, we focus a lot on the machine learning algorithm. But when we actually deal with the real application, where we really deal with this streaming of millions of records coming in all the time, the 80% majority of the work, 80% of the work that we have experienced demonstrate that pre-processing is the most difficult and the most costly. The reason is because this data come from devices, and these devices can be faulty. Sometimes communication is not all right. So we have missed a big part of the data, or there are a lot of noise in the communication. So this cleaning of the data is important, because no matter what sophisticated machine learning algorithm that we use to do the prediction, if the data is not right, if there are a lot of noise, we don't get a quality outcome of the prediction. So a lot of reports have been generated as well to back this up, that in fact 80% of the work is actually, and even more, I think, in IoT, because the data comes from sensors that is used to clean the data. So I give an example where it's more complicated than just data cleaning. We look at our time series data that comes from every sensor. And of course, what we say is, okay, let's clean all the noises. Now, when we talk about noise, normally it's very simple. We just say, let's clean the outlier. When it's an outlier, where there's a spike that are more than the threshold, we just clean them. But when we do predictive maintenance, if we remove all the spike, we actually remove all the machine anomaly. And we can never predict when a machine is going to break. So we need to be able to detect the difference between noise because of faulty device or because of communication error versus a real anomaly. So there is a spike because the machine is going to stop working, or there is a certain anomaly happening in the machine. So we come up with a few techniques to do this. We've published quite a lot in this area, and basically start with the learning of the data to understand that a noise is actually spiky. So with machine, we know that noise is always spiky. So it's this red one are all noise. And anomaly, in fact, is gradual. So we know with machine, it's never off and then on again when it's broken. It's always slowly diminishing and then it died. So based on this, we develop the algorithm where we actually divide the data from the sensor and identify what we call windows. And each window we compare with previous window. How big is the difference? So if we know there is a big difference, there's a potential spike. And at the same time, we also build what we call a background contrast to understand what is the a normal working state of that particular sensor. So we compare both with the previous one as well as compare it with normal. So based on that, then we can develop a threshold to identify when a certain normal is not normal anymore, and when it is now, we call it when it is a noise, and when it is actually just, or when it is actually an anomaly. So it is a noise when the difference between one window and the next one is really big. And at the same time, the difference with the background window is small. Is also large. So we need to be able to differentiate this, because sometimes a noise happens for a long time. So we cannot just say, what's the difference between the previous window? We need to be able to say, yes, it's still noise, even though it's actually stay for that. The spike may last a little bit longer. I know I don't have much time, so I try to move on much quicker. The next one is how to deal with large gap. When we are not talking about missing data for 1 or 2 seconds, we're talking about hours sometimes. So how do we actually fill this gap if all the sensors suddenly have a lot of gap? So we're looking at this seasonal trend decomposition. Some of you probably have heard about this. For every time series data, we can actually look at the seasonal, what happened in every different types of period of time and what's the trend. And based on this, we built the gap, so we built the missing gap based on the seasonal and the trend. But if we have a big gap, this is not efficient, or it's not good enough, because we make up too much information in between. So the work that we have published here is to divide that into small segment, do the decomposition, and every time we fill in the gap, we put back again, concatenate it with the rest of the information, and then do the analysis again. So we build it bit by bit, and every time we build a small part of the missing data, we start again learning the whole series, and then we build the next one again. We learn the whole series, we add again. So if we have a big gap, we don't fill it all in one go. We do it step by step, and we do this iterate until we from the back and from the front. So this is basically the technique. And this, we've done evaluation to show that our results show a much closer difference to the real data compared to if we just do a normal decomposition. And finally, when you have very many sensors, we need to do feature selection. Again, I don't have much time, but basically what we've done here is to identify for every fault. If we identify a machine fault, we do not want to analyze 10,000 sensors, because then we have no time to do that. So we need to do feature selection. We need to know for every fault which sensors actually contribute to that. So we've done a lot of this feature selection. So once we've done this big part of pre-processing, the predictive analytics itself become very simple. Now we could use, of course, deep learning and so forth, but we use PCA, and then we offline, and then we use T2, Hawthorne T2, and then SPE, but it's quite accurate already to get where we want. So we have a large amount of learning data, and we also compare the results. So it's predict the fault very reasonably. So that's basically the kind of dashboard that we present to the user. So now with this digital twin that we have established, this is the kind of view that the engineer can see. So they can see the dashboard to indicate every component within the machine. So finally, I just want to add that on top of that, we're looking now at optimizing that by using what we call edge computing. So we do not want to send all the manufacturing all to the cloud, because it will be very slow sometimes and it's very costly. So in every plant, we build a small cloud, and we call that the edge computing, where a lot of this online processing is actually done. So the whole modeling in the beginning was actually done on the cloud. The model is actually delivered to the edge, and the real-time processing is done in the edge. So the pre-processing, the predictive analysis is done locally in the edge, but the outcome is sent to the cloud. And every time the data shifted, that model will be updated back to the edge. So the edge layer, and it's adding security as well, of course, having edge layers, so that rather than combine everything in the cloud, allow a more localized way of dealing with each individual manufacturing plant, at the same time send the data to the cloud to update the model. But the data lake itself, the big data, is actually sitting in the cloud still. So the edge layer is just doing the real data processing. So this project started in 2017. The company actually put joined an award, and the project won this 2018 Innovation in Data AI and IoT. So that was quite a successful project. There's still a lot of ongoing work in terms of making it more optimized, or making the predictive analytics more accurate, and also securing the whole process and communication. But that's basically, in a nutshell, the project, and I'm happy to answer any question, and I hope that share of experiences can be useful for the audience today. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
All right, thank you very much for Professor Rahayu, and probably we will continue in Q&A session. Thank you and really appreciate. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, probably as we can sums up for the presentation, big data management in manufacture, sensor-based IoT, low-cost sensors measuring acceleration, etc., and also the challenges, explosive growth of data, processing, visualizing high-velocity streaming data, storing extremely large data, and etc. And as the innovation is data lake to make sure that we can maintain the machine sufficiently. So inside the data lake is pre-processing to remove the noise or noise removal, and then pre-processing 2, filling the data gap of the missing data imputation, and pre-processing 3, remove redundant or contradictory features and predictive analysis. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, we will going through to our keynote speakers, and we would like to invite Dato Professor Muhammad Idrus. Good morning, Professor Idrus. How are you?
Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh from Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Professor Idrus, for joining in here, and we are waiting for the sharing knowledge. All right, so with fullest honor, please welcome, and you may begin the presentation, and time is yours. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to share actually something about sustainability. Right. Well, I'm still waiting for. So can you see the presentation?
Yes, already clear, Professor.
Hold on. All right. Actually, what I'm going to present today is about sustainability, and it is concerning about the way forward, how we wanted to do things in the era of IR 4.0 and also digital transformation era. But again, please allow me to just share with you my slide. Please bear with me because I've got a little bit of problem with the computer today. I don't know why. But again, the two keynote speeches was very interesting. The one that has been, done by NUS was something which is considered as very focused to the university campus, and I believe that can be done by other universities throughout the world. And this is something which is, I think, quite noble, because we have been talking about green buildings, about green campuses and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is it is not because what we wanted to do, but rather what we can do. So let me share you this slide, which will give us an insight of what actually happens in universities and also around the world. So my name is Muhammad Idrus Haji Muhammad Masirin, and I'm from University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, and also I'm currently the president for the Malaysian Congress of Academics. And over here we actually have 20 public universities, and currently I'm the lecturer in the University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, and also visiting professors to Saga University, Universitas Narutama Surabaya, and also Universitas Mercu Buana. Right, let me take you through UTHM and give you some insight about UTHM. This is our campus. The university is situated in Johor, and we have more than 10 faculties, which are mainly focusing on technical programs, and we are one of the 4 technical universities in Malaysia. And we are located 250 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur and only 80 kilometers from Singapore. So that means we are very near to NUS compared to Mercu Buana. All right. So today's conference, the theme is Engineering and Technology to Support Human Life in the Adaptation Era. So I believe what I'm going to present to you, which is titled More Towards Sustainability, will give us an insight of and the way forward of what is going to happen in the world and also to humanity. So this will be the title. And I would like to congratulate Mercu Buana University for the organization of this international conference. The issues and challenges of sustainability in engineering and environment, vision and implementation. Yesterday, there was one international symposium in Malaysia, which was organized by the Public Works Department. And I was invited to talk about pit soil and innovations that we can do on pit. And I believe what I have shared yesterday is similar to what I'm going to share with you, which also will touch here and there about sustainability and the environment. All right, these are the topics that I'm going to actually touch today. Why sustainability, 3 main elements, the era of era 4.0, era of digital transformation society. And lastly, I will be talking about sustainability during the COVID-19 pandemic. So why sustainability? Why everybody in the world is talking about sustainability? So this is the what you call the elements of sustainability: ecology, economy, and equity of social. And we call it as 3 E's. And the reason why we have been talking about sustainability is to ensure continued existence of the mankind. So again, we have to also understand that the 3 main elements which we normally discuss will be economy, environment, and social, which is also in line with the 3 E's that I've mentioned just now. And these 3 elements, economy, environment, and social, is related directly to sustainable. And when you talk sustainable, it is about how we can continue to exist on this world. Right. For engineers like me, as a civil engineer, when we talk about sustainable developments, we will have this picture of road planning and constructions, building constructions, bridge designs, yeah, and infrastructure and environmental protection works, soil and also geological impacts, water and food supply, solar energy and renewable energy. Why? Because these are the things that is related to our discipline in civil engineering. And likewise, when you are in mechanical and electrical, you are also talking about sustainable development in terms of things that is related to your areas. So again, we have been also, given the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations. There are 17, all of them. And you can see here, number 13, 14, and 15, they are all related to the existence of the species on the earth. What is the climate action? What happens to the species like human, for example, flora and fauna, life below water, what happens to the species in the water, and life on land, what happens to us, and also the flora and fauna, as I mentioned just now. And all of these, if we wanted to achieve, it is not individually, it can be individually achieved, but again, it needs to be achieved together, in togetherness, in partnership. And that's why number 17, maybe this is the last in the list, but then again, this is the most important part of achieving sustainable development goals. All right, I would not elaborate on those things because those things are available on the internet, and you can ask Dr. Google what are the things related to those 17 Sustainable Development Goals. But I'll just touch a little bit on that, and then I'll go on to look at the other issues. All right. The era of IR 4.0, we have been given the some insights about what is happening nowadays. And I think NUS is utilizing IR 4.0 by using digital technology, IoT, AI, robotics, and also blockchain in their campus. Likewise, Prof. Wendy also have discussed in her speech something along this line of IR 4.0. Okay, so we understood about IR 4.0, and now if you go into any conferences, people are now talking about digital transformation society. And it seems that this year and this era is also related to digital transformation society. Now is 5.0, apart from IR 4.0. And talking about digital transformation, you can see that it concerns about systems of intelligence. It concerns about empowering your employees, engaging your customers, optimizing your operations, and also transforming your product into a better product for the future. And I think this is very, very pertinent and very, I think clear what happens to the telecommunication industry, where you can see telephone changes from year to year. You can see Apple and also Samsung and other telecommunication companies, they are producing much more advanced telephone or mobile phone from year to year in and year out, just because they wanted to transform their product so it will be online with the digital transformation. So again, we know that from the speakers before me, they have talked about the what you call the transformation of telecommunication. They have been talking about how things changes very fast, very rapidly, and to actually understand and to come up with good strategies, we have to understand the 3 W's: the what, the who, and the why. And this is something which actually, if you are able to conduct workshops, then you will understand the digital transformations happens because of the what, the who, and the why, rather than the what itself. Yeah. So again, in the digital transformation era, we have to actually educate the community, and to educate the community, universities especially have to assist the government or the agencies that are related to training, to retrain the community so that they will have digital mindsets, and also they have the appropriate competencies. This happens in many developed countries, including Korea and also Japan, and I believe in Singapore this is also happening. In Malaysia, we are actually doing it, but at the same time, because of the COVID-19, we have a lot of constraint to conduct the retraining of existing workforce to go into full digitalization. And we need to set up digital infrastructures in the society, and we have to actually create digital-based opportunities with strategic government agencies I mentioned just now, and also now we are talking about collaboration with the industries. All right. Sometimes as engineers, we took for granted that people understood us, people know us. So again, what is an engineer? Who is an engineer? Yeah, to be more exact. So the word engineer itself stands for efficient, knowledgeable, genius, innovative, never give up, and enterprising, exciting, and also resourceful. I got this from the Facebook platform, which we discussed in length during the Engineers Day. Yeah. So, and we came out with this acronym. But again, the most important thing that is close to my heart is the last word, that is resourceful. Because as engineer, I believe if you are resourceful, then you are beneficial. You are a beneficial, person to the society. And I think resourceful is something which is needed by the community when they see an engineer around. And when we talk about engineer and the environment, I think an engineer is considered as a development agent everywhere in the world, and they are the party that will be doing the planning and also the implementation, and they will plan projects that will be environmental friendly. And sometimes people use this word mass is because if engineers nowadays don't create projects which is environmental friendly, that is considered as not a sustainable project. And engineers must be efficient, effective, and resourceful, and he must be ethical. Definitely the last word, ethical, responsible, and protects the environment of humanity is something which would like the engineer to have. Why? Because with this, we will be able to create a sustainable environment. And I'm interested, and also I'm attracted with the work that has been done by NUS. They would like to have a green campus created in NUS. Well, likewise in UTHM, we are also aiming towards a green campus. That's why we use the word sustainability as something which is marketed among the staff and also the students, to encourage them to be motivated to actually conduct sustainable activities in the campus. All right. For this speech, I would like to just highlight that the scope of the discussion will be: what are the issues of sustainability in engineering and environment? How do we overcome the challenges? I consider sustainability not a problem, but rather a challenge to us as engineers. What policies are needed? What initiatives can be implemented to create a sustainable world? So again, these 4 questions, if I am able to discuss it here, I think it will take a few more hours, but again, I'll make it short so that it will be something of simple in nature, and also at the same time, it will give us some idea of what and how sustainability can be achieved. All right, I'll give you an example. As I mentioned just now, in our university, UTHM, we are also talking about sustainability. And because of that, UTHM's niche will be sustainable technology and transportation. It means that we are focusing into 2 elements, that is sustainable technology and also sustainable transportation. And because of this, we have a few programs and also faculties that is focusing into this niche area. We have also an institute, which we call Institute of Integrated Engineering, which also look into the effort of embedding or inculcating sustainability as a culture among our staff and students. All right, but however, the question is, how do we implement it? We are still, doing sort of a multi-directional. It means that multi-approach, where we implement it through our programs, or implement it through our faculties, our institutes, our research center, and also through our collaboration with industries and also our stakeholders. And what is the progress since its inception? Well, currently we are sort of, if you ask me, the percentage of success is still at around 50 to 60%. We have not actually go more beyond what the 70 to 80% target. Why? Because we actually, since our inception in 1993, as a university or as a center, a training center, we actually have gone through a lot of evolution. We changed our names 4 times, from Polytechnic Staff Training Center to Institute Technology to Musin on Malaysia, and then later on we changed our name to College University to Technology to Musin on Malaysia, and the last in 2007 we changed our name to University to Musin on Malaysia. So if we take that timeline, actually we started to become a university, full-fledged university in 2007, which is about 14 years ago. And again, are the staff and students aware of our initiatives? Yes, we have actually done this, and we have been talking about this since the last 10 years, and everybody are aware of our initiatives. But again, how successful are we? As I mentioned just now, we are at the point where it is only at 50 to 60% to create a green campus and to achieve our sustainable technology and also sustainable transportation mission. And all this actually needs 5 things: expertise. I think what we see from the presentation by NUS, the professor from NUS, it clearly shows that we need expertise to do all those things. We need knowledge, we need skill, we need ideas, and we need determination. And this determination doesn't come from only researchers, lecturers, students, or even in the industry, but it needs to come from the management of the organization. All right, issues related to sustainability. Let me show you a few, a few issues. And these issues, sometimes it is direct issues and sometimes it is indirect issues. It can be in the perspective of pre and post COVID-19, which actually the impact will be different, isn't it? So if it's pre-COVID-19, then there will be a lot of challenges, other challenges and other issues, which are considered as our normal issues. But then when it's during post-COVID-19, the issues and also the challenges became a bit different. And I have actually clustered the issues into 6 main elements: environment, business, agriculture, communication, urbanization, and education. So these are the 6 clusters that I actually, identified. Right. Talking about environment, you can see here, it is, mostly about pollution, air, water, and soil, contamination, global warming, destruction of flora and fauna, as I mentioned just now, clean water initiatives, as what in the SDG is mentioned, green cities and green buildings, as what as the NUS speaker just now mentioned, and also the Friends of Rivers programs. So these are the issues and also the things that is related to environment. In communication, we have transportation, which I believe it is better than in the last decade and in the last 2 decades. Energy consumption, electromagnetic waves, this is another issue because we are using mobile phones and whatnot. Then actually we are actually having a lot of problems. Pollution due to fossil fuel, and also last but not least, hybrid vehicles, which we are talking about going green using the vehicles. Businesses, I think currently, if compared 20, 30 years ago, it is very competitive, highly competitive. And the emergence of new technologies actually that will help the businesses to grow, but at the same time, it creates competitiveness, isn't it? And customer-oriented and online marketing approach. These are the things that changes in the last 1 or 2 decades. Banks are partially affected during COVID-19. Why? Because they could not open and they could not do their normal businesses, and food industries changed manner of business during the COVID-19 from the eat-in to the takeaway. But now, most of the countries, we have this herd immunity program. They are able to, open in stages, and hopefully in the next 1 or 2 years to come, they are able to operate in full. All right, urbanization. When we talk urbanization, the issues are the city pollution, population increase, project halted during the pandemic, and we have health and safety issues. We have the SOPs, you have to use your mask, you have to sanitize yourself, check your temperatures and whatnot, and lacking of blue collar workers. This is another issue, because when we have this pandemic, many of the workers, they have to go back to their hometown, their countries, and some countries, including Malaysia, we have this problem of blue collar workers. And last but not least, the economy is considered as not good during the pandemic, and the government has a lot of problem with funding. Right. In agriculture, we can see that during the pandemic, there's a lot of demand for it, because food is a necessity, isn't it? But again, when we talk about food, the production of food is considered as a bit, they are experiencing a bit of difficulty, because the working time is limited during the pandemic, problems with transportation during pandemic. You can see that it's not easy to transport the vegetation and also the food supply to other places during the pandemic. If you don't have the permit, you cannot go and supply and go and send the food or the food supply to other places, especially in Malaysia, and I think likewise in Indonesia and in Singapore. Demands available, but difficult to operate during pandemic, fertigation and hydroponic farming method. There's a change in agriculture in Malaysia, especially in past years. They are using fertigation and hydroponic farming method as the last resort, as an alternative. But during the pandemic, they have to use this as the best method for them to continue with their farming, and also to supply vegetation. And agropreneurs in the community projects, you can see there's a lot of agropreneurs in the community, and a lot of this farming happens or is created as a community project and agent to low carbon footprint initiatives. If you talk about low carbon footprint, I think planting trees, as what is done in NUS and likewise in other universities in Malaysia, is a way to reduce the carbon footprint. And education, well, I think most of the universities are experiencing this online classes, work from home, and class from home, in internet issues. They have internet issues where it's poor connection. We are not ready actually last year, but this year we are much more ready. We are much more aware with these issues and problems, and most of the schools and universities have prepared themselves to actually conduct classes and also lectures from home. And online materials are not 100% ready last year, but Alhamdulillah, this year it seems that everybody are aware and also preparing for the coming semesters, which is going to open in next month in Malaysia. Some conducted hybrid approach, and the evaluation also are conducted online and teachers. But the thing is, in Malaysia, I don't know in other countries, but in Malaysia, teachers are actually initially lacking of exposure and training. But after a year of self-learning and also given the opportunity to communicate online, teachers has done a lot more better compared to initially. So what are the challenges to implement? We'll look at into the six clusters that I've mentioned just now: the environment, communication, business, urbanization, agriculture, and also education. And in general, what I can say is that educating the community on sustainability is very, very important. This is a very big challenge. And but again, with the COVID-19, I think this is a blessing in disguise, where actually this community is much more acceptable in talking about sustainability, the existence, especially the existence of us as human being in the world against the COVID-19. And mindset change, survival, we have to change from the survival mode to the preservation mode, rather, because preserving will actually create an opportunity to survive. Okay. And new disaster threats in nature, you can see here, I mentioned about the cyber pirates. During the the changes of technology from IR 3.0 to IR 4.0, you will see that the cyberspace is easily what you call polluted, or if I can say, there's a lot of scammers around, which I consider them as part of the cyber pirates. And also new disasters such as new virus pandemic like COVID-19 is something which is also very challenging to the community and also to the government. So with that, I think the war games mode has changed, and we have to prepare for the worst in the future. But again, as I mentioned, for us to sustain, to continue to exist, we have to actually have a mindset change from survival to preservation mode. And another issue, challenges that we have is about the balance of communitarian against human well-being of the people. Okay, this is something which I believe we are talking about collaboration nowadays. We are talking about partnerships. So it is about individual and also team working. So we have to actually discuss this. How can we work together in such a way that we can be able to achieve our vision and mission in sustainability? Retraining of skill sets for future-proof workforce. We have to change the way that we do. We have to we are not going to produce people who are multi-skilled, but rather we have to actually create a future-proof workforce who will be able to be some sort like flexible in in receiving any new skill sets. So that is what is happening in Malaysia. And UTHM, as one of the technical universities, we focus on the capacity building, and we are also actually now focusing on identifying what are the new skill sets for the IR in the IR 4.0 era and also the digital transformation era. Selecting the most suitable economic sector in the new era, I think this is the task of the government and also the member of the community, because if we are not able to select, to identify most sustainable economic sector, then we will have a lot of problems in ensuring that our economy will be sustainable. All right, this is one of the understanding, philosophy of communitarianism. You can get it from the internet. This also you can get it from internet, and you can see the element of communitarianism. It will be the economy focus on community and also the cultural focus of community. It is more towards that rather than individual. All right, sustainability during COVID-19 pandemic. So I'll just go through very briefly what happens to sustainability during COVID-19. The community needs to follow SOP, isn't it? So as I mentioned just now, we have to wear our mask, we have to wear to sanitize ourselves, we have to check our temperature, and life is more important for future sustainability. This is something I think everybody are talking about. How can we actually avoid COVID-19 virus and to continue to live? And because of that, we have to ensure that we have to continue living and continue following the SOP. And the economy does not, as mentioned here, economy does not sustain, but people need food and money to sustain lives. So I think this is true. Well, if you have a good economy, but the people doesn't have food and also doesn't have money, then it is not useful. So again, we have to ensure that when we say that we have sustainable economy, it should also include that the people will have food and money to continue their life. So I think this is something which is a concept or an approach that needs to be very clearly stipulated or used or adopted by the government. Government needs plans, resources, and facilities to sustain the people. And I believe the government currently are doing this all over the world. And I believe not only in Malaysia, I think in Singapore and also in Indonesia, the government are also doing these three things. Yeah, the three elements: planning, the planning, and then providing resources and also facilities, providing facilities, so that the people can sustain their life. But again, one thing that the people needs to do to support the government's initiative is to trust the government. Yeah, because if we don't trust the government, then we will be creating more crisis. Right. That's what those are the general challenges that we have in the 6 clusters that I mentioned just now. And these 6 clusters have an impact on society, have an impact on the economic growth, has an impact on education activities, and also has an impact on the way of life, especially COVID-19. So you can see that we have what we call new normals, and this is the feedback from the banks. You can see here they have actually clustered it into 3 cluster that is high exposure, moderate exposure, and also low exposure. And from here you can see that the lowly impacted industries will be the food and beverage, IT, natural products, packaging, telecom, and also waste management. But the highly impacted will be, if you can see, the automotive and auto suppliers. Because people are not moving out, isn't it? Going around. Consumer durables, you have this gaming, we have the lodging, we have the non-food retail. When you talk about lodging, it's about hotels, isn't it? So people are not staying in the hotels. So a lot of hotels in Malaysia are also, are not operating, and most of them close their operation. Non-food retail, passenger airlines also, they are having a lot of problems with their operation and transportation services. And these are some information on the impacts of COVID-19 on business, industries, and community. Right. And as I mentioned just now, the 6 clusters, if we conduct, actually we conduct, some research or some surveys in our country, we will have different input. But in Malaysia, what we did, we have jointly conducted a survey with Ministry of Finance Malaysia, and we have used the projection by the Ministry of Finance, and we came out with this analysis that from the 6 elements or the 6 clusters: the environment, businesses, agriculture, communication, urbanization, and education. You can see the impacts are different. The environment seems to be positive, sustainability seems to be excellent, and expected recovery, well, it's not affected because people are not polluting, isn't it? There's less contamination because people are not going out from their houses, and a lot of businesses, also industries, are closed. Businesses, I think, is considered as severe. Sustainability is 10 to 30%. Expected recovery period is 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years since last year, it means, yeah, from 2020. Agriculture, moderate, 60 to 70%, 1 to 3 years. Communication, moderate, 50 to 70%, 1 to 2 years. Urbanization is moderate, 30 to 60%, 1 to 3 years. And also education is moderate, 60 to 80%, 1 to 3 years, 2 years. So those are some things that I think I would like to actually share with you. But what are the things to do? These are the way forward. Change the society to self-sustain for the future. We have to start now. Engineers must be more creative and innovative. Government and community support system must be in collaborative modes. We have to collaborate. Yeah, as the stakeholder, I think the government and community must collaborate in order for us to create a good support system. And reduce community income gap. I think currently in many countries, the lowest income gap with the highest income gap, it is more than 10 to 20 times. Yeah, so this have to change, and we have to ensure that the gap is not very, very huge. Identify sustainable economy activities and sectors for future job creation. This I have mentioned just now. Create community with competency, technology, and creativity. This is to create a future-proof human resource. So as I mentioned, future-proof human resource is very critical because whatever changes in the future, especially in technology, our current human resource can still adapt and adopt to the situation. Engineering in the community initiatives, we have to bring engineering into the community rather the community goes into the engineering. At the moment, the community have to learn and have to go into the engineering fraternity and have to learn a lot of things. But in the future, hopefully, starting from now, engineering is being brought into the community and it will stay in the community. And it will be much more, easily accessed by the community. Government, educationists, engineers, and community engagement programs must be created so that we can create a sustainable world and sustainable economy. And as normally what I discuss with my colleagues, economy must start from the people. Yeah, this is an approach which will actually create a sustainable economy rather than the economy will actually contribute to the people. But it is better if we say that economy starts from the people because the people are the contributors to the economy. And we can also conduct this approach community first. So again, why do I actually start from the community is because the community is the grassroots of everything. We actually, can blossom the economy and also the successful of any initiative by the government is by creating opportunities for the community. So how to do the mindset change? Just to give you a brief idea what is a mindset and how can we actually do a mindset change is at the institution level, we can adopt this model, Stanford school design thinking process. Or at the industrial level, we can also adopt this, where actually this is something which a little bit different from the initial one, from this, where we have another additional element that is the implementation. If you look at the institutional, it stops at the prototype and also test, but at the industrial level, it goes into the implementation. And I'll just share with you one success example. This is the IBM design thinking. They only use the 3 words: observe, reflect, and make. And from these 3 words, I think they created a lot of products, and also they are successful in their business area. But again, if you compare to what we are doing in most of the companies, organization, we are not able to come out to this stage where we make to give concrete form to abstract ideas and turn intent into reality. This is what is lacking normally, especially in the universities. So we have to do something about this for the future. Right, as a concluding remarks, I would like to just say a few words. Why do we fail in sustainability? Starting with these questions, I think it can give us some idea why we fail in sustainability, so that we are able to move forward to be more successful in creating sustainability environment. Is it not enough support, or is it not enough understanding? I think that we have good support, we have good understanding, isn't it? Is it not enough experts? I think there are a lot of experts around, only that we have to contact them and then get them to be involved with us. Is it not enough resources? Well, maybe, because when we conduct programs, sometimes the resources are quite scarce, and then it's quite difficult for us to obtain, to get collaboration with the people who have the resources. Or maybe there's no plans and strategies. We didn't even start. So is that the reason why we fail, or even doesn't even care about what will happen to the environment except time is money? So these are the issues sometimes that makes us, or didn't actually push us into creating a successful sustainability environment. All right, so these are a few works by UTHM, just sharing with you. We have these catchy captions like Waste to Wealth projects, Trash to Treasure projects by Dr. Yasmin and also Dr. Muhammad Aziman. We have the new sustainable materials for construction works, sustainable vehicle technology, and also drone technology for agro and cargo. And I have the opportunity of actually, working with one company, IRZI Consultant in Malaysia, who actually constructs roads and also bridges in not only in Peninsular Malaysia, but also in Sarawak and Sabah. And one of their concern is how to actually conduct a sustainable construction environment. So because of that, they have actually inquire many experts and also many consultants who are actually looking into sustainability and creating sustainable environment during the construction of any roads. So I would like to congratulate to them, because they are concerned about sustainability when they do their work as a constructing engineer. All right, this is an example of the drone technology. And this is the innovation in the electric car in UTHM. And this is the KUKO project, where actually we work for the community. And just to end my lecture, there's a lot of new opportunities through entrepreneurship. And I believe if we are able to identify these, the society or the community will not be actually pressured with the current challenges because of the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a lot of opportunity in agropreneur, in cyberpreneur, and also online businesses. Only that if we know how to change the way we do businesses and our jobs, I think this will actually create a more sustainable living among the community. And to do this, we have to do a multidisciplinary approach in our project and also research creation, because collaboration is the answer to the success in the future. And we have to inculcate multidisciplinary and design thinking among lecturers and students, especially as an academician. I would love to see this being embedded into our curriculum and also into the way when we do our daily chores in the university. As a concluding remark, let me conclude that actually working together is very important, and we know that this is part of the team building, and also it will give us better impact to what we do. And lastly, maintaining the environment and well-being of mankind for sustainability needs well-built plans, visions, and also efforts to execute. And one thing that we have to remember is that when planning the plans itself, we have to consider the implementation stage, because if plans that were put on paper are not easily implemented, then it's considered as a failure. So with that, I thank you, all of you, and I end my this speech with the Japanese model for sustainability, Ikigai, the existence of human rely on the 4 questions: what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. And this sums up to passion, mission, vocation, and also profession. So with that, please bear in mind you have to preserve the environment because it will sustain our existence. Just like the monkeys on your right hand side, when the forests are burned, they don't have anywhere to go, so they have each other. So this is the side that we don't want to see happens to the well-being of the human race, and hopefully we are able to actually give credit to ourselves in the future for our future generation to live in a good environment, and hopefully with the sustainability programs and initiatives, we are able to create a better world for our future generation. Thank you to and acknowledgement to my colleagues from Universitas Mercu Buana, Universitas Narotama, participants from Indonesia, Malaysia, and also from MAC for collaborating and promoting the Malaysian academicians to participate. So with that, I thank you to the organizers, and hopefully stay safe, stay healthy, stay home. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All right, thank you very much for Dato Professor Muhammad Idrus for the insightful knowledge. And as the sums up, multidisciplinary approach is about working together, especially in engineering. It will sustain the people and environment. Translating research works to the community is a huge challenge. Maintaining the environment and well-being of mankind for sustainability needs well-built plans, vision, and effort to execute, and preparing plans must consider the implementation stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a virtual applause to our notable keynote speakers. And now we are continue to the Q&A session, and we'd like to invite again, so please welcome to Professor Wong, Professor Rahayu, and also Professor Muhammad Idrus. And now I am take a look on the Google form. Thank you so much for all the participants that already give the question through the Google form. Okay, so this question and answer session, yeah, at least until 11:40 in Indonesia time. And now let's start with the first question. The question mentioned to Professor Wong Nyuk Hien, and this is the question from Mr. Endang Juana from Universitas Trisakti Indonesia. And this is the question for Professor Wong. What is the computing infrastructure needed for all this simulation? Is it NUS-based infrastructure or cloud-based infrastructure? Thank you very much in advance. So please, Professor Wong, you may answer the question.
Yeah, thank you for the question. When you talk about infrastructure, I guess you mean, in terms of computer resources, infrastructure for computing, to do all this simulation. Indeed, as you can see, when we want to do simulation, especially in terms of CFD modeling, for that kind of a scale covering the entire NUS campus, including the surrounding and so on, the computer resources and also the type of computing that is required for that is tremendous. We are actually very fortunate because in Singapore, under our National Research Foundation, they have set up a supercomputing facility, national supercomputing facility for that. So all the academics or even researchers that we can tap on this national computing center resources to do all this work. So that's why, because of that, that has never been an issue. But of course, for this project, it is also a project initiated by our senior management from the university. We can get quite a good support from the university in terms of facility as well. Yeah, I hope I answer your question.
All right, thank you so much for the explanation, Professor Wong. And now we are continue for the next questions. The question mentioned to Professor Wendy Rahayu. This is the question from Mr. Sukendro Saputro from Kita Hebat. And this is the question, what is the critical point to utilize big data in building smart cities in Indonesia, as shown in previous presentations? So please, Professor Rahayu, to answer this question. All right, so probably we would like to confirming again. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. According to the committee, Professor Rahayu already leave from this Zoom meeting, but it's okay. Probably we can give this question through the emails or so on, or maybe the committee will getting forward to it. All right, so let's continue to the question for Professor Muhammad Idrus. Okay, so yes, this is the question. The question is from Mr. Asim Sugianto from Universitas Mercu Buana. The question is, how about the program 4.0, especially in this COVID-19 pandemic era? So please, Professor Muhammad Idrus, to answer the question.
All right. I think when you see that when you talk about IR 4.0, it is about big data, it's about AI, and also it's about IoT and whatnot. During the COVID-19 pandemic, actually we are utilizing what is in the IR 4.0. When we are not able to go out, we ordered our food and also ordered the things that we wanted online. This is the utilization of IoT. And secondly, if you notice that during the COVID-19, most of the companies who are operating, they are using digital. They go digital because what they are doing now, they try to reduce the contact with others. And I believe this has to do with combining what the mission in IR 4.0 with the mission in the Digital Transformation Society 5.0. That's why when I mentioned just now in my presentation, I've tried to link both of them so that it will be sort of looking into the necessity of not splitting the two era or the two initiatives, IR 4.0 and Digital Transformation Society 5.0 in isolation, but rather talking about it together in tandem so that we can actually utilize anything that is being brought up by the both era, the both technology approach for the benefit of the community and also the government. So again, it is a blessing in disguise actually when I talk about education, especially. Initially, before the COVID-19 pandemic, most of us as educationists, we are not keen to use online system as our delivery mode. But because of COVID-19, we have to use the online system. And previously, we have the perception that online is not considered as a quality way of delivering our lectures and also our classes. But now, because of COVID-19, we actually can see, and also we can also feel that now the COVID-19 has taught us a lot of things that online delivery can be considered as an alternative to teaching and learning. So that is what my opinion about IR 4.0. IR 4.0 is about big data. IR 4.0 is about AI. IR 4.0 is about IoT, and IR 4.0 is about technology. So hopefully we will be learning from pandemic COVID-19 and we utilize IR 4.0 in tandem with Digital Transformation Society 5.0 to move forward so that we are able to create a more sustainable community.
All right, thank you so much for the explanation, Professor Muhammad Idrus. And now we are going to the following question to Professor Wong Nyo Kien. All right, the question is from Mrs. Religiana Hendarti from Bina Nusantara University. The question is, what is the most important data to be utilized in AI application for predicting the variation of air temperature? And if the data is not sufficient, what is the possible solution? Additionally, how accurate is the use of AI application compared to previous methods? So please, Professor Wong, for the further explanation.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question. Of course, when we talk about prediction of temperature, we have been using a lot of sensor. In this case, measurement of temperature, sensor that can measure temperature, measure humidity, and things like that. I have to say, in terms of all this IoT, Internet of Things, and so on, they are very advanced. So the cost of all this sensing has also gone down tremendously. So that's why sensing of the data has never been an issue. But to look at the data that you collect, nowadays because of the huge amount of data that we collect over a period of time. Like for example, I share with you this 20 over weather station that we deploy across the entire NUS campus. We are talking about logging in the data. Just take temperature alone, logging in the data every minute. So you can imagine over a period of even just 1 month, the tremendous amount of data that has been collected. So how do we actually deal with such data so that we can sort of understand that such data is correct, is reasonable. In fact, earlier on, Professor Rahayu also mentioned about that. When you deal with big data, how do you clean the data? How do you ensure that the data is looked at in a correct manner? So that is very important thing. I think for me, I'm very fortunate. I'm not an expert in computer science, in data analysis, and so on. Because this project is at a university level, so I have the opportunity to work with professors from all the different fields. So in this case, I'm very fortunate that for this data analysis part, we have professors from computer science, from computer engineering, who help us to look into that data, help to clean up the data, and so on. And of course, we work together to use the big data analytics so that we can use it to develop a model that can help to predict temperature, and not only temperature, but other parameters as well. So I think Professor Idris has also mentioned that nowadays we want to focus on interdisciplinary research. The nature of the research require a lot of professors from very different backgrounds to work together. That should be something. In fact, NUS is pushing very hard to do that as well. So I hope I answer your question. Yeah, it's really to work in a team based on interdisciplinary approach, tap on the strength of every different expert and work together. Definitely, when you make use of all this big data analytics that comes up with some meaningful analysis of temperature, solar radiation, wind, and so on, it is definitely a lot more realistic and more reasonable as compared to the very traditional way of just collect the data, look at it, or maybe use simple statistics to understand the behavior and so on. And that is indeed what we talk about digital transformation, using IoT, using all this big data analytics to further enhance the understanding of data. I hope I answer your question. Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much for the explanation, Professor Wong. And all right, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the last question to Professor Muhammad Idrus. The question is from Mr. Gunawan Cahyadi from Universitas Trisakti. And this is the question: how can we apply and implement the sustainability principle, especially in family life? So please, for the further explanation to Professor Muhammad Idrus.
All right. I think one of the things that we should understand about sustainability in our family, in our life, and also in our family, we have to look into a few elements. One element that we have to actually look at is our health, right? How do we actually maintain ourselves to be healthy and to be safe every day? So during this pandemic, we are learning that we have to keep ourselves clean. We have to ensure that we are always concerned about our family members. That is one thing. And then we are always concerned about what we eat and what we drink and where we go. So this is an example of how we create sustainability between our family members. Secondly is about our economy sustainability for the family. So again, when you look at into the economy of the family, we should look at into the source of income of the family. So I think, for example, if I'm a farmer, my source of income comes from my farming activities, isn't it? And these farming activities will actually not only to generate more, maybe if I plant vegetables, so not only to plant the vegetables, not to also produce vegetables, but again, how to sell the vegetables. So again, the choice that we have in choosing what we wanted to plant, that will actually determine the market, the income that we're going to get, and how we can sustain the economy of the family. So there are a lot of actually issues in talking about how to create sustainable family, sustainability in the family. But again, as the what you call the leader in the family, we have to actually always remind our family members that out of all the things that is important in our life, is one is ensuring that we are always healthy, we are always happy, and we are always having this ambition of moving forward from day to day, from year to year, so that we are not lacking of the motivation to live and to create something new each day and each year, so that we can contribute to the society and also to the nation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Muhammad Idrus. Okay, so before we close this session, we'd like to invite the keynote speakers to give the brief closing statement, and probably we can begin with Professor Wong, please, to give the closing statement.
Yeah, I just want to again thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity to share in this conference. I really hope that what I've shared in terms of using NUS campus as a living lab could provide some motivation to you, especially to the universities in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and so on, to perhaps collaborate, so that we can work towards a very green and sustainable campus. We are all academics. We can be students, we can be researchers, and so on. All of us can play a part in making our campus green and sustainable. And the nice thing is that if we can do that successfully in the university campus, I certainly believe that there is a good potential for us to scale this up, so that we can implement the same idea, the same thinking, the same approach for the entire city, in this case for Singapore and for Malaysia in different cities, likewise for Indonesia and so on. So this is actually really my hope, and I hope the lecture that I provided give you some motivation in doing that. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Wong. Really appreciate. And the brief closing statement from Professor Muhammad Idrus, please.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this conference. And likewise, what have been said by Professor Wong, I agree that actually this opportunity is a good knowledge sharing and also experience sharing. And I also believe that as academician, like Professor Wong, we always would like to collaborate with other organization or individuals or community, so that we are able to translate our research, our expertise through translational projects or research in the community. And sustainability is easily said than done. But I believe with the concerted effort and also synergy among academicians, government agencies, the industries, and also the community, we are able to actually achieve the target of creating a more sustainable world. And again, I believe that the materials that I've shared with you, all of you, the participants, will give some insight of what is sustainability and what are the challenges that we have during this pandemic, COVID-19. And hopefully I will have the opportunity to work with all of you, inshallah, in the future. And you are always welcome to contact me through Mercu Buana University to do any research or any collaborative projects pertaining to sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Muhammad Idrus. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give the virtual applause as the appreciation for all the notable keynote speakers. Once again, thank you for Professor Wong, Professor Muhammad Idrus, and also Professor Wendy Rahayu for participating in the NICE 2021. Okay, so lastly, I'm Prayang Sani. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and we apologize for any inconvenience during the session. Thank you. Have a gay and also we wishing you always be healthy, everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And we'll give it back to Mrs. Paula.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Prayang, for being a moderator. And thank you for all speakers. Great and really, really inspiring presentation. Allow us to give the certificate, the digital certificate for 3 of you speakers. The first for Professor Wang. This is our appreciation for you. This is a digital certificate. Once again, thank you very much, Professor Wang.
Thank you. Thank you
for being here. For the second, to Professor Muhammad Idrus. This is our appreciation for you. Professor Muhammad Idrus, would you please to open your camera? We would like to give the appreciation for you. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, for the third, Professor Wendy Rahayu. Okay, this is our digital certificate for you. And last but not least, for our moderator, Mrs. Prayang. Thank you very much for leading this session. Very good. And we got an inspiring session today. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the plenary session has been finished already. Now we are going to the parallel session at 1 p.m. We have an hour for preparation. You may check your breakout room number to join the parallel session. Please rename your username to be room number _ paper ID and _ name, so that the committee will assign you easily. If you need assistance, please contact our committee, and please keep staying in the Zoom connection. Please do not leave during the break time. On behalf of Universitas Tarumanagara and all members of consortium, we would like to say thank you for joining this conference. Special thanks to all speakers, co-organizers, presenters, participants, and all committee who supported and contributed for making this conference running well. We hope we will meet again next year. I hope that we can meet personally next year. Stay healthy, stay safe. God bless you, and goodbye.
Mengantar langkah kecil menuju impian besar yang menjadi kenyataan. Terinspirasi dari kisah kerajaan Tarumanagara yang membuat rakyatnya sejahtera. Universitas Tarumanagara selalu menempa para mahasiswanya. 8 fakultas di Universitas Tarumanagara dengan 29 program studi termasuk jenjang S2 dan S3 siap mendukung spirit memenangkan masa depan yang semakin ketat. We build today to win the future. Kini, Untar didukung lebih dari 1.000 dosen berkualitas yang turut membentuk pembangunan karakter positif dan kuat mahasiswa atau Untarian. Mengambil peluang bekerja sama dalam tim, menempuh resiko untuk pencapaian yang akurat, dengan tetap menghargai orang lain, mengasah sisi praktis keilmuan, dengan pengalaman praktek kekinian yang mengena, menempatkan kreativitas sebagai sumbu utama saat mencipta dan berinovasi.